4. And please let me first introduce to you our group members. First, we have Ma'am Aline Angulo, Ma'am Keith Mupon, Sir John Carlos Siniza, Shalani Alexa Rosal, and of course, yours truly. So our group was tasked to discuss to you about directing. But first, let us define first the word directing. So it is actually defined as a process of technique of instructing, guiding, inspiring, counseling, overseeing, and leading people towards accomplishment of organizational goals. This is actually the fourth phase of the management process and also known as the doing phase. So managers direct the work of their subordinates during this phase, and the leaders support them so they can achieve desired outcomes. The leader manager also sets those plans into action and focuses on creating a motivating climate as a critical element in meeting employee and organizational goals. So what are the components of directing? So number 1, we have creating a motivating climate. Number 2, organizational, interpersonal, and group communication. Number 3, delegation. Number 4, effective conflict resolution and negotiation. Number 5, collective bargaining, unionization, and employment laws. So for my part, I will be discussing to you creating a motivating climate, which is the first component of directing. So the manager bears primary responsibility for meeting organizational goals, such as reaching acceptable levels of productivity and quality. So the leader manager then must create a work environment in which both organizational and individual needs can be met. Adequate tension must be created to maintain productivity while encouraging workers' job satisfaction as well as engagement in the organization. This is not an easy task, I know. And this chapter examines motivational theories that have guided organizational efforts and resource distribution for the last 100 years. Leadership and management strategies for promoting worker engagement and encouraging a motivating work environment are emphasized on this discussion. A trivia. 85%. Did you know that 85% of employees said that they're most motivated when management and leadership offer regular updates on company news? Yes, this means that as an employee, it is crucial that you are well aware of everything that is going on inside and outside the company or the institution. Being aware and having the knowledge gives you certain confidence that motivates you to work better, eliminating the feeling of apprehension and, of course, unknown fears. Another, did you know that 31% happy employees experience this 31% higher productivity at work? Managers and team leaders know that happy worker is a productive worker. You know why? Because work satisfaction motivates employees to work harder. Those who are excited about their work will put in a lot more effort than those who are merely doing the job just to get paid. Motivation is a force within the individual that influences or directs behavior because motivations comes from the person. Managers cannot directly motivate subordinates. The leader can, however, create an environment that maximizes the development of human potential. Management support, collegial influence, and interaction of personalities in work group can have a synergistic effect on motivation. So the leader must identify those components and strengthen them in hopes of maximizing motivation at the unit level. All human beings have the needs to motivate them. The leader focuses on those needs and the wants of an individual worker and uses them in a motivational strategies. So the leader must identify the employee's goals and foster their attainment to allow the leader to create an environment that encourages the employees to reach personal and organizational goals. These strategies that a leader can use should vary within the situation and the employees involved because every employee or every individual is different and it may be formal or informal. Now, there are two types of motivation. Number one is the intrinsic and the other one is extrinsic. So the difference between both is the intrinsic, from the word intrinsic, it comes from within or inside the person. It is the driving force on which the person is actually influenced by himself, and it can also be influenced by the family and the cultural values of a person. While the extrinsic, on the other hand, comes from the outside of the individual. So it comes in rewards and reinforcement that are given to encourage certain behaviors and or levels of achievement. So those are like the incentives, increase, libreng bugas, libreng pabahay, or loan, or anything that a person is drive to be eager to do something better or to work better. Let us discuss about the motivational theories under creating a motivational climate. So according to Maslow, which I understood every nurses know, for him, self-actualization is the highest. Actually, on the peak of the triangle, it is the highest realization of an individual. So it embraces the unknown, which is focused on a personal growth and perceives self as they are truly are. They also focus on the big picture that do not take blessings for granted and have a mission in life or some problem outside themselves that enlist much of their energies. In addition, self-actualized individuals do not allow themselves to be passively molded by culture, and they are deliberate and make their own decisions, selecting what they see as good and rejecting what they see as bad. So for Maslow, he believed that people are motivated to satisfy their certain needs, ranging from basic survival, complex psychological needs rather, and people seek in higher need only when the lower needs have been predominantly met, which for us, we have known that the least one is the physiological needs going up to self-actualization. So the central belief of Maslow's theory is the people are born with a desire to self-actualize. So this is actually very familiar for every one of us. And everyone, for him, is capable of doing the maximum capacity of every individual. On the other hand, we have Skinner. For him, his research about the operant conditioning and the behavior modification demonstrated that people could be conditioned to behave in a certain way based on a consistent reward of punishment. As you can see here in the box, in the picture, he tried it on a rat inside the box. So what he did, there's a lever for a food and there's a lever to prevent on giving an electricity that makes the rat or give the rat pain. So with this, he was able to understand that the motivation and dissatisfaction of a person or the behavior of a person varies and changes if a reward is given, and with the reward, the rat on the experiment actually repeatedly do the or repeatedly push the lever which gives the reward. So the behavior that punish or goes unrewarded is extinguished, or the rat did not push the lever that gives him punishment. So those elements that encourage behavior are number one for him. No, I mean he have three actually. These are the neutral operants, reinforcers, and punishers. So for the neutral operants, the responses from the environment that neither increases nor decrease the probability of a behavior being repeated. So it means neutral. From the word neutral, it doesn't have any reaction. Sometimes it has. In reinforcers, responses from the environment that increases the probability of a behavior being repeated. Reinforcers can be either positive or negative. And the punisher, responses from the environment that decreases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. Punishment weakens the behavior. So it's actually understandable. This work continues to be reflected today in the way that many managers view and use discipline and rewards in the work setting. So everyone actually, one way or another, have experienced this one. It's just like if you have done a mistake and then you will be facing probable sanctions for it, for what you did. And if you did something good or excellent, then you're given a reward. Next is Herzberg. So for him, he has two factors, the hygiene and the motivator factors. So as you can see, the hygiene factors are actually the salaries, the benefits, the company policy, the good interpersonal relationship, quality supervision, job security, working conditions, and work-life balance. These are actually general satisfaction, which prevents dissatisfaction. On the other hand, the opposite is the motivator factors. This is the sense of personal achievement, status, recognition, responsibility, opportunity, advancement, growth, and everything else. So for him, employees can be motivated by work itself and that there is an internal or personal need to meet organizational goals. He believed that separating personal motivators from job dissatisfiers was possible. Instead of organizations focusing all their efforts on compensation systems, the researchers suggested that organizations strive to create a need-satisfying work climate to motivate employees to perform better. So reward system must meet both hygiene factors and motivator factors. It's important to remember that the opposite of dissatisfaction may not be satisfaction. When hygiene factors are met, there is a lack of dissatisfaction, not an existence of satisfaction. Likewise, the absence of motivators does not necessarily cause dissatisfaction. Leaders need to play an established pair, but fair pair pay, but they shouldn't rely on fair pay to motivate. This can be done by providing positive feedback, acknowledging employee skills and efforts, offering employee opportunities to learn new things, asking open-ended questions, listening actively to employees, inviting participation in solving important problems, acknowledging employees' perspective, and offering choices within the structure of the organization. So although hygiene factors themselves do not motivate, they are needed to create an environment that encourages the worker to move on to a higher level needs. Okay? One is Broom. So for Broom, the human relation era that he has developed is developed in an expectancy model. It looks at motivation in terms of the person's balance or preferences based on social values. So in contrast to the operant condition, which was discussed a while ago, which focuses on observable behaviors, the expectancy model says that a person's expectation about his or her environment or a certain event will influence behavior. So for him, in Bloom's expectancy model, people make conscious decisions in anticipation of reward in operant condition. People react in stimulus response mode. So people make conscious decisions in anticipation of reward. That's for him. Um, so it means that the employees to understand better the employees' values, reward systems, they actually expect this one. So because they are expecting this rewards, the willingness to take risk is actually higher. So we actually understand everything about this one because we are currently working in an institution. So of course, if you're given this, if someone tells you that I'm going to give you an incentive at the end of this month, can you do better and give, I mean, perform better this time? So I mean, even taking the risk, you'll be pushed to do better. Another one is McClellan. So for McClellan, the motivational needs, he has actually understood that there are three basic needs. So for him, a person is guided or motivated, starting with this three basic needs: achievement, affiliation, and power. So achievement-oriented people, those are actively persons that are focused on improving what is. They transform ideas into action, judiciously and wisely taking risks when necessary. And in contrast, affiliation-oriented people focus their energies on families and friends. Their overt productivity is less because they view their contributions to society in a different light from those who are achievement-oriented. Power-oriented, on the other hand, are people that are motivated by the power that can be gained as a result of a specific action. So for McClellan, the managers can identify achievement, affiliation, and power needs of their employees and develop appropriate motivational strategies to meet those needs. Next is Gellerman. So Gellerman, he has his methods. Did you know that 69% of employees would work harder if they felt their efforts were better appreciated? Of course, if you know that you are being observed for a job well done, you will do better. In mind setting, 50% of employees believe being thanked by managers not only improve their relationship but also build trust with their higher up. It is very true, and I agree most of this because I've been applying this one and I have also experienced this one. Without communication and appreciation from your leaders or from your management, I mean, you will feel lessly motivated, right? So for Gellerman method, um, he has the stretching. It involves assigning tasks that are more difficult than what the person is used to doing. So this one, for example, is actually giving one person to an assignment or a task that he hasn't encountered before, and you will just teach and let him learn from and research about it so that I mean he would have the sense of responsibility and accountability on the task that you have given to him. So this includes personal and professional development in areas of vocational knowledge, skills, and expertise. Giving people responsibility often causes them to rise to the challenge. Of course, if you're given something that you are not used to do daily, it's a challenging task. But for those people that likes the challenge and to do better, they will take the risk and take the challenge positively. In addition, unleashing their imagination, ingenuity, and creativity often results in their contributions to the organization and being multiplied many times. This one I believe because if one person that you always come with at work and you don't even realize that he has a lot of skills and talent. For example, just for an example, it's like if there is a poster making contest and then you are all nurses, how would you know that one of your colleagues are a good painter and then he's the representative of your department and then your department will win the contest? Who would have known that this person has these skills and talent if you did not allow him to be part of that contest, right? It's just one example of Gellerman's theory. And another method for him is the participation. It entails actively drawing employees into decisions affecting them. It's just simply asking them that what do you think is the better to do for this situation that would also help the company, or what can you contribute for this particular procedure or particular event so that we can make it a better one, like that. So he strongly believed that motivation problems usually stem from the way the organization managers direct to their employees. There is actually both willingness and sometimes, of course, those people that are also being stretched energize people to enjoy the beauty of pushing themselves beyond what they think that they can do. Okay. Next theory is Douglas MacGregor. For him, he examined the importance of the manager's assumption about workers and the intrinsic motivation of the workers. These assumptions of MacGregor labeled theory X and Y. So for theory X, those are actually the negative ones. Avoid works, must be controlled, avoid responsibilities, seek security. Theory Y is the positive one, which is work is natural, self-direction, seek responsibility, good decisions widely dispersed. For him, it's more on the manager's point of view, and thus treats the worker will have an impact on how well the organization functions. Therefore, managers must understand what can be done at the unit level to create a climate that allows the worker to grow and increases motivation and productivity. Okay? Hmm. So let us discuss a new part of my report is creating motivating climate, because the organization has such an impact on extrinsic motivation, which are, can you remember, the rewards, the benefits. It is important to examine organizational climates or attitudes that directly influence workers' morale and motivation. So nurses who experience satisfaction stay where they are, contributing to an organization's retention. And you have to remember that employees are an organization's most valuable asset. Next is the worker empowerment. So this is a process of allowing employees to have an input and control over their work and the ability to openly share suggestions and ideas about their work and the organization as a whole. So as I mentioned a while ago, it's actually a positive motivation. It's making the person part of the team, or making them feel that they are part of the team. It's actually asking them some inputs, and they might feel better about it. I mean, if you would put yourself on the person's shoe, you would actually feel better if you are being appreciated, and there is a feeling of that you are being needed, right? So when employees feel the managers trust them to make choices based on a sound reasoning and a focus on business needs, they feel more confident in their ability to try and even fail, learning in the process. This empowers them to try harder. In addition, managers must be role models of empowerment and lead by example. Managers who do not feel empowered will set a stage for employees to not feel empowered. It's just the vice versa. If you feel empowered, then your staff would also feel that uh, not being empowered. If you are more enthusiastic about things, then your employee will also be more enthusiastic. It's a role modeling process. Next one is using incentives and rewards. So using incentives and rewards to motivate workers can also be complicated by view of rewards as competition. So when rewards lack consistency, there is greater risk that the reward itself will become a source of competition and thereby lower morale. So the rewards and praise should be spontaneous and not relegated to predictable events such as routine annual performance reviews and recognition dinners. Rewards and praise should be given whenever possible and whenever they deserve it. Okay? Um, this is very important because sometimes you give the sense of confusion. So if the person does not deserve the reward and the praise, do not give them just to please them. It's simply like that. Rewards and praise should be given whenever possible. So that means if it is possible, if the person needs it, and if the person deserves it, give it to them. Next is the relationship between the employee and his or her supervisor. So it is very important that the relationship of the manager or the supervisor and the employee are in good terms. Interpersonal relationship between an employee and his or her supervisor is critical to the employee's motivation level. So it can create a climate that demonstrates positive regard for their employees, encourage open communication, as well recognizes achievement. Remember that a bad relationship between your supervisor is not a healthy one. So creating actually a healthy and a good relationship between your subordinates and you as the manager itself is actually a good and healthy environment for everyone. It does not only motivate the staff, but also motivates the manager to be more better and to learn more on handling his or her staffs. Okay. Next one is the strategies for creating a motivating climate. So it is important to establish a supportive and encouraging environment. You should remember that. According to Maroney, or I don't know how to pronounce it, for him, when showing appreciation, be specific. So, it simply stipulates that you don't just say good job and good job on the person without even saying what did the person actually specifically did for him to be praised with a good job. So you have to do that good job on the report that you gave to me this morning. It was very precise and very elaborated and very well said. Just like that. According to Biro naman, it's a recognition of extra effort and when it is authentic and not automatic. Of course, if you haven't seen the person did not try to make an effort on something that you or the task that you gave, um, those um those extra I mean the praising is not deserving, then don't praise the person. If it's not, I mean, if the person doesn't deserve it. But of course, if the person deserves it and it is authentic, then give the person what he deserves. Just simply like that. I mean, not to elaborate it anymore. According to Jensen, hiring top performers, creating and displaying goals showing that you trust them and make them feel that their job makes the difference. So hiring top performers and creating and displaying goals. Actually, this is actually I'm sorry, it's part of learning on a on a on a responsibility that you are given. I mean, if your manager has trusted you to do this assignment, you have to do and be accountable on the task that is given to you, right? I mean, if it is challenging or risk, take the risk. If for you if it's a good thing, then try to do your task better. And this part, I mean, In this way also the staff would feel that with the task that is given to them, maybe it's small or big, it makes a difference. For lastly, according to Daywolf, um, he has this IKEA effect. Remember IKEA? It's actually more on DIY stuffs or do-it-yourself stuff. You buy this cabinet, you'll have to assemble it yourself at home because you do not purchase it pre-assembled. You have to assemble it at home. So for him, it's a cognitive bias of people to value something more if they put effort and labor on it. It's more rewarding. Right. Next is promotion, a motivational tool. So this has actually five parts actually. So whether recruitment will be internal or external. So this one, the advantage for this to recruit from outside the organization is when promotions are filled with people outside the organization is fused with people with new ideas. Of course, they came from another institution, so they'll be giving you new ideas that they have done in his or her previous institution that can be applied on the current institution. This prevents the stagnation that often occurs when all promotions are internal, right? Because if it's internal, the same people will just be promoted on the same institution, unlike hiring someone from another institution. So you gain more ideas, more more knowledge and skills that they can bring or brought to the institution that will be beneficial also for the company. Number two is what the promotion and selection criteria will be. So employees should know in advance what the criteria for promotion are and what selection method is to be used. Some organizations use panel interviews, some actually are observations, some are skills enhancement, promotions, or there are actually different methods depending on the institution itself on how they level up their employees and how they particularly choose those people that deserve the position. The next is the pool of candidates that exist. So when promotions are planned as in succession management, there will always be an adequate pool of candidates identified and prepared to seek higher level positions. And of course, there are talent and capability potentials that fit the position and those with combinations. Handling rejected candidates. All promotion candidates who are rejected must be notified before the selected candidate is notified. So, unahin muna yung na-reject before yung na-choose na candidate. It is actually a common courtesy. It's also a nice way. So, how employee releases are to be handled. So release of employee is quite critical and difficult. Policies regarding the length of time that a manager can delay releasing an employee should be written and communicated. On the other hand, some managers are good at developing their employees that they frequently become frustrated because their success at career development results in constantly losing their staff to other departments. Diba? So it's also quite sad. Sometimes they go for not only to other departments but to greener pastures. So that is very common in nurses. Promoting self-care. So this is actually the last part of my report and a very important part. So self-care for nurses, not only for the staffs and the managers, but for all the potential leaders out there. Managers can also create a motivating climate by being positive and be an enthusiastic role model in a clinical setting. Remember, a motivated manager results to motivated staff. An happy manager, on the other hand, results to low unit morale staff. So, burnt out, tired manager equivalents to lethargic and demotivated. It is imperative then it discourage managers acknowledge their own feelings as well and seek assistance accordingly if you are already demotivated. Maybe a psychiatrist or I don't know, or a guidance counselor to be exact because you remember you are a role model to your staff. So if you are one of those negative ones, you will also be producing negative um, employees or subordinates or staff or team members. So managers are responsible to themselves and to subordinates to remain motivated to do the best job possible. We all know that nursing is a stressful profession and a manager must practice health-seeking behaviors and find social supports when confronted with stress, or else risk burnout as a result. Burnout and other forms of work-related stress are relatively negative to the organizational outcomes, such as we have know that one illness, turnover, performance deterioration, decreased productivity, dissatisfaction. These outcomes can cost the organization and impede, of course, the quality of care, which will lead to worst scenarios. Remember that an attitude and energy level of the manager directly affects the attitude and productivity of their employees. So in order to achieve self-care, despite the stressful career that nurses have, it is imperative to have a time off for ourselves or me time or an alone time, as they say. Something out of the daily busy career we always spend most of our time. Always remember that without this knowledge and skills we have discussed, a leader, manager cannot be an effective one in achieving the creation of a motivating climate for their staffs. An efficient and a skillful leader often attracts positivity. I just want to share this one. There's a saying, how we feel about and enjoy our work is crucial to how we perceive the quality of our lives. Thank you.